Okay, so in this video we're just defining a logarithm, talking about a few properties about logarithms, and then finally talking about the change of base formula, which is going to be a major weapon for us as we continue on for these next few videos. So you definitely want to pay attention. So in general, a logarithm of y with base b is written as log base b of y equals x. And this is only true if and only if b to the x power equals y. For this definition to be true, the following conditions must always apply. If they don't, forget about it. You don't have a logarithm. So b has got to be positive. So b, your base, must be positive. B cannot be 1. And y must also be positive. And based on this definition right here and right here, that implies that the exponential and log functions are inverses. They undo each other. And we're going to use that fact later on to solve some exponential and logarithmic equations. So before we do that, though, we want to talk about specific logarithms. So it's logarithms that have special bases, have special names. And there's only two of them. We have the common log and natural log. These are the only two types of logs that you can enter directly into your calculator. If the base is 10, then you can write it log of base 10 of y equals x. That's called the common log. However, most of the time we're just going to call it log of y equals x. Okay, so if you just see a log of something, that's the common log. The base is understood to be 10. And we can put that in our calculator. We'll see that later on. If the base is e, like we used in the previous video, again, e is just a special number, kind of like pi, then you can write it as log of base e of y equals x, and that's called the natural log. And it can also be written as ln of y equals x. Most of the time, this is what you're going to see. Log of y equals x for common log, ln of y equals x for natural log. Both of those are the only two you can type in your calculator directly as is. Everything else, if your base is anything besides e or anything besides e, then it's called the general log. We're just going to write it log of base b of y equals x. You cannot put the general log directly in your calculator the way it is unless you have a newer calculator. Some of the newer calculators will. So if you're lucky enough to have a newer calculator, then great. If not, you need to use the change of base formula, which is this. So we start off with the general log. If we have the general log, then we can rewrite it using the common log, base 10. Essentially what we need to do is say log base 10 of y on top divided by log base 10 of x, or that should be log base 10 of b, log base 10 of b on bottom. That's a typo on my part. Be sure you fix it in your notes. If you rather use natural logs, that's fine. If you have a general log, log base b of y, then you can write that using natural logs directly in your calculator. You say natural log of y divided by natural log of b. Again, another typo, my fault, but be sure you fix it in your notes. Okay? So let's do a quick example of this. I'm just making this up off the top of my head, so you don't have this example I'm about to do in your notes, so you might want to add it there. So let's do, say I have my general log, log base 3 of 4. I cannot type this in my calculator the way it's written. What I'm going to have to do is use this change of base rule. So I'm going to use it using base 10. So I'm following the pattern. So I have the log, log. Base, each of these are just regular logs, so they're the common log, base 10. Well, notice that the base goes into basement. Base 3, so log 3 goes in the bottom. Okay? And then 4 goes on the top. Okay? So that means that this log, the general log here, log base 3 of 4, has the value of log 4 divided by log 3. And that we can do in our calculator. So that means this general log has a value of 1.26 approximately. Again, I'm just rounding. Or I could rewrite my general log here using natural logs. So log base 3 of 4 equals, again, we're using natural logs. The base goes in the basement. My other number goes on the top. What should happen is that these two values I should end up with the exact same decimal that I got for common log. So natural log of 4 divided by natural log of 3. hit enter, and I get the exact same decimal, 1.26. So my point with this example is that it doesn't matter if you rewrite your general log using common logs or if you rewrite your general log using natural logs. You're going to come out with the exact same decimal. The only thing you cannot do is mix and match. You cannot mix up common logs with natural logs. It's either stay with common logs or stay with natural logs, whatever you like better. Okay, there's also several properties that help us simplify and rewrite logarithms. These properties are going to help us later on when we solve equations, so be sure you know them. And some of these properties are very similar to the laws of exponents that you learned in previous classes. So if you see something similar, that should not be a surprise. So here we have log base b of 1. I don't care what the b is. It's always 0 because b to the 0 is always 1. Log base b of b, again, it doesn't matter what b is. That's always going to be 1 because b to the first power is 1. Again, we're just using our original definition that we learned on this page. Log base b of y equals x if and only if b to the x equals y. So keep that in mind. Finally here, these last three properties are the most important, so make sure you know those. If u and v are both positive numbers, then log base b of uv, you can split it up. So I'm multiplying on the inside because I have two letters side by side. You can split it up with addition. I'm going to make up an example real quick. Let's do that in green. So let's say if I log base b of 3 times 4, I can split that up as log base b of 3 plus log base b of 4. Again, it doesn't really matter what your base is. That works for regardless of what your base is. Okay? But if you're multiplying on the inside, you can split it up on the outside with addition. Okay? Very similar on the next rule. If we're dividing on the inside of a log, we can split it up on the outside using subtraction. So again, I'm just going to make up an example off the top of my head. So do that one in blue. Log base b of 3/4. That's the same thing as saying log base b of 3 minus log base b of 4. Notice that my top of my fraction always comes first, but if I'm dividing on the inside, I just separate it, split it up on the outside with subtraction. And then finally, my last one, if I have a power on the inside, then essentially that power gets to come out to the front. So I'm going to make up another example for you just off the top of my head. Let's do this one in purple. So if I start off with log base b of 3 to the second power, you can rewrite that again. Your power just comes out front. So 2 times the log of base b to the 3. Those two are equivalent. So again, these are 3 very important properties that are going to help us solve equations later on. And that's it for this video. Make sure you know these properties. Super, super important. I suggest you practice. And as always, if you got questions, let me know.